Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I have another book review for you, and it is The Last Continent by Terry Pratchett. If you're not new here, you'll know that I am reading the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett in order. So recently I've read The Last Continent. If you are new here and you haven't seen, I'll pop a link above to that playlist. I actually started this journey before I started filming book reviews for YouTube. So if you're a fan of this series and you want the reviews from the first books, you can go to my Goodreads. If you prefer videos, do comment down below and let me know. The books do get better as they go on, so we're into the good phase. As always, with my book reviews, I will read you guys the blurb first. Before we get into that, don't forget if you like what you see to subscribe to this channel. You'll continue to support me a lot, so thank you guys so much. Alright, blurby time. It's the Discworld's last continent and it's going to die in a few days, except who is this hero striding across the red desert? Sheep shearer, beer drinker, bush ranger, and someone who'll even eat a meat pie floater when he's sober. A man in a hat whose luggage follows him on little legs. Yes, it's Rincewind, the inept wizard who can't even spell wizard. He's the only hero left. Still, no worries, eh? So if you hadn't guessed from this cover, this book Pratchett wrote based on Australia. So if you are Australian, read this book, let us know if it's accurate or not. I did live in Australia for a year. I lived in Melbourne for 6 months and then travelled the east and west coast for 6 months. But let me know, do you think it's an accurate portrayal of the satire side of your country? I'm going to try to do this review as spoiler free. If I feel when I'm going through my quotes that there are spoilers, I will let you guys know and give you a spoiler alert and a time to skip to. But at the moment, this should be a spoiler-free review. We are back with Rincewind, who is one of the first Discworld characters we ever meet in the Discworld series. And I actually really like Rincewind. I do have a soft spot for him. I agree with the vast majority of Pratchett lovers that the very first Rincewind book is just a tourist guide to the Discworld, but not necessarily great. I found the second book actually quite good, and I do have a book review for that. That link is above me now, mainly because luggage has little baby luggages, and that filled my heart with joy. This is the third Rincewind book. Do correct me if I'm wrong, Pratchett fans. I mean, this is a long series. I apologise if I'm getting them confused. I will also write the name below of the second Rincewind book, because from the top of my head, I can't remember which one it is. I want to say Interesting Times, but I don't know. So I'll write that down. It's a big series. Forgive me for getting them all mixed up sometimes, but it's the third Rincewind book, and it kind of went backwards a bit for me. It felt more like Rincewind's first book more than his second, which I was slightly disappointed with. But let's get into my quotes from this book first, and then we'll go into my overall review. It's not my favourite. My first quote is from page 17. "Anyone call the doctor?" he said. "We got Donut Jimmy here this afternoon," said the Dean. "He tried to take his temperature, but I'm afraid the librarian bit him." "He bit him? With a thermometer in his mouth?" "Ah, not exactly. There, in fact, you have rather discovered the reason for his biting. The librarian is sick, and they've got Donut Jimmy in, who's kind of like a bad vet, to look at the librarian, and it's just a great example, as always, of Pratchett showing versus telling. He is not telling you where that thermometer is, but we all know where that thermometer is." Page 20. "They say the heat and flies here can drive a man insane, but you don't have to believe that, and nor does that bright mauve elephant that they just cycled past." I love that, because again, it's just great showing. You don't have to go insane in the heat, but you might see some mirages. Page 61. "One opened up in one of the cellars once, all by itself," said the Dean. "Just a round black hole. Anything you put in it just disappeared. So did our Chancellor Weatherwax had a privy built over it." "Very sensible idea," said Ridcully, still looking thoughtful. "We thought so too, until we found the other one that had opened in the attic. Turned out to be the other side of the same hole." Oh, toilet humour. There's always a little sprinkling of toilet humour in Pratchett, I've found, and I'm fine with that. Page 124. Rincewind didn't even consider looking inside. That'd mean his head would be outlined against the sky, a sure way of getting your body outlined against dirt. More showing versus telling. Rincewind knows there could be something that could shoot him inside this carriage, which is kind of more like a tank, so he knows from experience of Rincewind always being the target in Rincewind's books, not to cast a shadow, not to be visible in any way. I just love that. This book is really good at showing over telling. It just had other problems. Page 151. A night sleeping on the sand hadn't helped the faculty very much, and the Arch-Chancellor didn't help even more. He was an early morning man, as well as being, most unfairly, a late night man. Sometimes he went from one to the other without sleeping in between. Wake up, you fellows. Who's game for a brisk trot around the island? There'll be a small prize for the winner, eh? Oh my God, moaned the Dean, rolling over. He's doing press-ups. I certainly wouldn't want anyone to think I'm advocating a return to the bad old days, said the Chair of Indefinite Studies, trying to dislodge some sand from his ear. But once upon a time, we used to kill wizards like him. I'm with the other wizards here. People who can stay up super late and then wake up absolutely fine. You people are like, I don't know, gods, demons, fairy tale creatures. I don't know how you do it. I am not one of these people. I go to bed early. I do wake up quite early, but I still don't like moving that early. You know, I'm a read in bed with a cuppa kind of person, and I'm a read in bed at night kind of person. How do you do lack of sleep? If my body gets less than about 8.5 hours, I am not a good person. No. Page 189. I just want to mention, Rincewind invents the cork hat. Now, if you don't know what a cork hat is, I'll pop a picture up here now. It is a wide-brimmed hat with string coming down from it with corks attached to it. Now, if you've been to Australia, specifically for me, the west coast in the deserts, plagued by flies. Flies everywhere. If you stop moving for 1 second, you will be covered. And when you are moving, if someone's in front of you, you'll see them all just waiting on their bag, just primed and ready to drink your sweat and blood and tears. And I mean that literally. They will drink all of it. So these are actually a thing, these hats with cork on. Actually, I found a lot of people just had netting hats, but there's definitely a cork thing, because if things are moving, they can't land. So it protects your face from the flies. But Rincewind invents that hat on the Discworld. On page 190, the purple cart rumbled off. Painted crudely on the back were the words, Petunia, the Desert Princess. Yes! This is a reference to Priscilla of the Desert, which, if you haven't seen that film, I'll pop a link to what it looks like here. It is an amazing film with the dude who, I can't remember the actor's name, I'll write it down here, who plays Lord Elrond in Lord of the Rings. They are an amazing actor, and Priscilla of the Desert is about drag queens travelling through the desert in a bus camper van thing to go and perform in a hotel, and it's about all the prejudices that they have to deal with. It's about them on this voyage of discovery. It's a really beautiful movie and really heartbreaking as well, like how they are treated, but the acting is superb and it's just an amazing movie. Do watch it. But I love how Pratchett references that movie, so I'm glad we like the same movie there. And my final quote, 353. We put all our politicians in prison as soon as they're elected, don't you? Why? It saves time. Oh, the politics. I love this. Just put the politician in the prison before they have a chance to put themselves in prison. Well, they don't put themselves, but before they have the chance to commit crimes that should get them put in prison once they're in power. I love it. Now, that is all my quotes, and I've remained on the positive of quotes for definite. But there was a few things I had issues with in this book. One is the plot. We are really going back to the first Rincewind book where, even in the second, I know Rincewind is not in control, but the people around him in the second one have a plan, and that leads the plot forward. In this one, Rincewind has no plan, and those around him don't seem to have a plan either. So it's basically just Rincewind running around Australia, like Rincewind running around Ankh-Morpork, and you witness in Australia. It doesn't have a main plot for me. The other thing that irritated me for the plot was we have Rincewind as the main character. This book is about Rincewind. But it's almost like Pratchett felt Rincewind wasn't enough, which I agree because it wasn't. So what he did is, with the quote I said about the portal that opens that then opened in the attic, a portal opens from one of the wizard's bedrooms and it goes to a tropical island. So the wizards go through it. I'm not going to give too much away, but we all know they're going to end up on this island. It just seemed pointless again. It didn't make sense to me. And to add insult to that wound, we only have one woman in this whole book, and she is the cook, cleaner, head matron of Unseen University. And I don't like how she's represented. I don't like how everyone acts around her. It's very standoff, traditional sexism going on. But like I say in all my Pratchett reviews, this is satire. So Pratchett probably did it on purpose to show the point. However, it's a lot easier to get that point when there's a more representative cast. This is why I really adore the Witches books in Pratchett, because there's more women in it. And I know I'm a female reader, so of course that's something I look for sometimes. But I'm a fantasy reader. I grew up basically reading all books, well, all male with one female character. So I'm used to that kind of writing. But I thought Pratchett had stopped it. Even in God's Guards, I know it's still mainly men, but he's getting there. It went backwards for me, so plot, not great. I didn't like how some of the characters were treated. Fantastic showing, as always. The characterization is great, as in the characters are in it, you really know them really well, as always with Pratchett. But it was lacking, and the ending was very snappy. It just happened. It's supposed to be doomsday. Australia is ending. It has no water, and then someone fathoms it out somehow. It basically felt like half the book wasn't needed. I mean, it's not a big Pratchett book, but it's not the smallest either, and it really felt like a lot wasn't needed. Was it still funny? Yes. Did I still enjoy it? Yes. I was just a little bit let down. So with that in mind, let's go to the book review template I made in the vlog. That vlog links above me now if you haven't seen that, and actually mark it out of 70, which will give us the stars out of 5. So number 1, enjoyment. I gave it an 8 for enjoyment. It wasn't my favourite Pratchett book. I mean, I adored Masquerade, Jingo, mwah, so good, you know. This wasn't up there with them, but it was still enjoyable, so I gave it an 8. I might be being a little generous, but it's Pratchett. It's my weak spot. Writing style, I gave a 10 out of 10 because even though the plot isn't there, the writing style is still Pratchett, and we all know Pratchett is an amazing writer. So writing style is still great. Plot, I give it a 4 out of 10. It doesn't really have one, and it's infuriating because it's going back to Pratchett's earlier works when plot was something he really seemed to struggle with, and he got it! He got plot until this book, and in this book he kind of lost it. I don't know why, but it's that, it's what it is. World building, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I mean, he's describing in Australia, in Discworld. It's quite good. It's alright. Characterization, 10 out of 10, of course, non-negotiable. We don't need to go into that. Representation. Now, I originally gave it a 6. I changed that to an 8 because I felt bad because I checked on the date that the book was written and it was published in 1998. You all know, if you're not new to my channel, books pre-2000, even 2010, I know won't have the representation I'm seeking, so I try not to punish them too hard in my markings of this, but just know that was a query of mine. But I gave it 8 out of 10. And finally, originality, I did give it a 10 out of 10. It's Pratchett, it's Discworld. No one has written characters like Pratchett. No one has created Discworld, a world like Pratchett's. It's very unique. So, in total, that gives us 54 out of 70, which gives us 3 out of 5 stars. So, I wouldn't recommend it to someone trying Pratchett. If you are reading the Discworld series in order, you have to read it. It's not one I'll look forward to going back to necessarily, because we all know when I finish the Discworld series, I'm probably going back to the start, aren't I? I think Matt, my partner, is actually on his 3rd time reading the Discworld series, but This is his first time reading it in full order. He kind of dipped in and out, and we do actually have one Discworld book missing from our collection. You'll find out which one that is when I get to it. But yes, 3 out of 5 stars. Wouldn't recommend it to someone who you're trying to get into Discworld. It is still Discworld, it's still enjoyable. If you enjoy Rincewind as a character, you'll still find it funny. It's still an easy read. It's just missing that spark for me. And that's it for my book review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I upload bookish pictures as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!